Beneath the wings of giants is a land that thunders from the tread of restless herds and echoes with the cries of killers, large and small. As a hunter, Little Das is a little wet behind the ears, but he's determined to prove himself. His targets, a pair of prehistoric runaways, Buck and Blaze. They must find their herd or die. Now, the gathering storm of fire and stone falls from the sky, and a wall of searing heat threatens all in its path. In a forgotten land called North America, Little Das's hunt begins. 75 million years ago, the Rocky Mountains are a chain of young, volcanic peaks that cut through the face of North America like a great scar of stone. Deep in the Elkhorn Range of Montana, lunch is served from the rich volcanic soil. Berries and greens provide the Orodromius with organic octane. In the fast and furious world of dinosaurs, these are the roadrunners. While life is good in the upland community, the local residents carry on their own version of neighborhood watch. While the herd tanks up, one adult serves as a lookout. Quetzalcoatlus are the last of the flying reptiles. These animals, largest in the family of pterosaurs, are also the only survivors in a group driven to extinction by warm-blooded birds. But today, they rule the air. Measuring 21 feet, the wingspan of Quetzalcoatlus is as wide as a World War II fighter plane. The Quetzalcoatlus is a notorious flesh eater. But down on the deck, the herd is calm and collected. Quetzalcoatlus fancy fish over red meat every time. Today, the fleet heads for the inland sea, some 50 miles away, to harvest fish from the shallows. The show is over, but the lone sentry is stuck in alert mode. The herd is more concerned with second helpings than communal security. The picnic area they've chosen is exposed and flanked by a thick line of tree cover. If Orodromius are roadrunners, Troodons are the coyotes. And yes, they're wily too. When evolution passed out the stealth gene, the Troodons lucked out. By the time you see one, it's usually too late to run. Endowed with the largest brain on Dinosaur Planet, the Troodon nervous system is attached to a set of big, forward-looking eyes. But for all the stealth, they're not invisible. The Orodromius kick into overdrive. 0 to 40 in about 10 seconds. All the Troodons get to eat so far is a mouthful of dust. The herd scrambles, and so will the Troodons. But their scramble is just a little bit slower. There's no sense in breaking delicate toe bones on a reckless race. Better a loser now than a sore loser later. Ground underfoot comes to life. Jets of white-hot steam bring the hunt to a sudden end. The Troodons are the first victims of the dark force that rules a volcanic kingdom. Its heart is filled with a shallow sea of magma. As the molten rock makes contact with underground springs, harmless water blasts out from the earth as searing bursts of deadly vapor. "50 miles away on the lowland plains, the continuity of life and death, predator and prey, is undisturbed. Adolescent Maiasaurus, like Buck and Blaze, will grow to the size of dump trucks. Playmates born in the same season, they become late Cretaceous juvenile delinquents. Buck is a young male, Blaze an immature female. The game they've chosen is called Walk Away from the Herd and Let Everyone Know About It. By teen standards, it's already a roaring success. When you're this big, why not mix a little fun with foraging? Why follow the herd? Here's one good reason. He's a Daspletosaurus, aka Little Das. A juvenile himself, Little Das is here on a big job. Buck and Blaze have isolated themselves from the safety of the herd. Little Das's mission is to widen the gap. Little Das is only one member of a deadly triple play. Das's two older sisters now take up the chase. But Das stays close to the hunt. Running parallel to the chase, Little Das will help his sisters keep young Buck and Blaze on a predetermined course. And now, the final player. It's the mother of the pack. Paralyzed by fear, Blaze delays their escape by one precious second, and Buck is left behind to pay the price.
Until the 1970s, large carnivores like T-Rex were depicted as lumbering behemoths. With the emerging link between dinosaurs and birds, T-Rex was recast as a swift, cunning killer that traveled in packs. It's even been suggested that they used teamwork to hunt. To test the speed idea, two scientists built a biomechanical computer model of T-Rex. To run 45 miles an hour, as some paleontologists suggest, T-Rex would have needed 80% of its muscle mass concentrated in its legs. Physically impossible. The researchers concluded that T-Rex moved more like an elephant than a roadrunner, closer to 10 miles an hour. No problem. Slow as they were, their prey were probably even slower. What about hunting in packs? Some scientists argue that mass graveyards of dinosaur predators found in places like Canada and Argentina support the case for group living. But the burials only show they died at the same place. It doesn't mean they lived, let alone hunted together. Like some large carnivores today, tyrannosaurs may have been solitary hunters. The jury is still out.
Two young Maiasaurus, Buck and Blaze, run straight into a kill zone. Only Blaze manages to escape the jaws of Little Das's mother. Little Das lives for the chase, but sometimes a little thing called attention span gets lost in transit. A monkey wrench thrown into a well-oiled killing machine. And Little Das is the monkey in question. Buck and Blaze have learned a lesson the hard way. Especially Buck. Both juveniles are safe for now, courtesy of a young predator's boundless enthusiasm. Little Das has let his mother and sisters down. Tired and hungry, the family now faces a long and restless night. As a foraging species, Maiasaurs are outstanding in their field. That's exactly where Daspletosaurs like to find them, outstanding in a field. Unaware they're being sized up for another hit. Little Das's mother had no trouble tracking the herd through the night. Of all the predators, Daspletosaurs have the keenest sense of smell. Little Das can't wait to get rolling. This time, no mistakes. Young Buck, the wounded male, is a target of opportunity. Das is totally stoked for the chase. Sooner or later, Buck will collapse and the herd will leave him behind. As far as little Das is concerned, this hunt is as good as done. All we need to do is find Mom. And the sisters. Hunting for your own family is a major pain. How could they run off like that? Das stumbles upon a family of another kind. Dinosaurs are vegetarians with attitudes. The very sight of little Das sends these 2-ton browsers packing. Is this a power trip or what? Huge adults fleeing for their lives? Yes. But the herd is not really running from Das. The animals know that young Daspletosaurs serve as scouts for adult hunters. Little Das has managed to run off every head of edible prey in the lowlands. And talk about bad timing. Hidden nearby, the pack was just about to spring on the Maiasaurs. It's not a happy reunion. The noxious breath of an angry giant billows from the Elkhorn Range. Beneath the surface, tendrils of molten rock turn groundwater into sulfurous steam. Sporadic bursts of searing vapor blast through the Earth's crust. But the creatures here are unable to break this new and disturbing code. The watering hole is a favorite for predators and prey alike. At daybreak, a herd of Orodromius make a pit stop. For these high-performance running machines, frequent hydration is a must. It's a trio of thirsty troodons. Troodons rely on sharp vision and speed to capture their prey. Now, the vague but familiar scent of Orodromius hangs in the air. But unlike Little Das and the Daspletosaurus, the troodon's sense of smell is not the greatest. Volcanic fumes leach up through the spring water. The bouquet comes straight from hell. It's a lethal mix of low-temperature gases that include sulfur dioxide and flesh-burning chlorine. Quetzalcoatlus returned from a day's hunt, their bellies filled with fish from the inland sea. The Great Fleet goes where no troodon has ever gone before, but would like to. The Jumbo Flyer's glide path is the final approach to a combination parking lot and nursery across the valley from the small volcano. Parking space here is limited, every square inch jealously guarded. For centuries, the high ledge has served as a nesting place for countless generations of Quetzalcoatlus. Sheer cliffs create a drop zone of 500 feet. Takeoffs and landings are a breeze, and youngsters are safe from troodons. Still, no creature is safe from the fuming volcano, the new apex predator of the Elkhorn Range. Blasts drive the flying reptiles from the rookery and scatter them over the tectonic minefield of the Elkhorn Range. fallen giants are omens of a gathering storm. The smaller volcano dies, its subterranean pool of magma drained by a larger and more voracious peak. Gorging on the molten rock and lethal gas of its neighbor is a geothermal monster, the greatest volcano ever to strike the Western Hemisphere. Soon, even the creatures of the lowlands, some 50 miles away, will feel its heat. Brought together by the single-handed attack of Little Das, the Dinosaurs and the Maiasaurs become fellow travelers. Crippled and vulnerable, Buck is on the watch. The wound on his hind leg has turned septic, and the herd will soon pass him by. Just keeping pace with the lumbering Dinosaurs is a challenge. But Blaze remains at his side. There's nothing sentimental about her attachment to Buck. It's just the instinct to bond with her own peers. Little Das has run a wide circle around the herd. The young predator has achieved the element of surprise, but follow-through is crucial. Scorned by his family, Little Das's future as a member of the pack is now at stake.
Like many dinosaurs, Maiasaurus is named for a trademark feature, its forward-curving horn. The same is true for Triceratops, three-horned face, Pachyrhinosaurus, thick-nosed lizard, and Centrosaurus, sharp-pointed lizard. So what was all this strange headgear used for? Defense against predators, or so paleontologists once thought. Yet that hypothesis is full of holes. First, Dinosaurus and its kin had only rudimentary horns and frill as youngsters, the very time they were most vulnerable. Second, each species of horned dinosaur has a unique setup of horns and frills. If their main purpose was defense, surely evolution would have standardized the design. Third, many of these make for poor defense. The nose horn of Dinosaurus hooks forward and down, and in some places, the frill is no thicker than a few millimeters. Our best evidence for understanding this bizarre headgear comes from living animals with similarly odd features. We identify dinosaurs by their strange features, and the dinosaurs likely did as well. Thanks to its distinct horns and frill, an Dinosaurus would never be mistaken for one of its horned cousins. Virtually all of these traits are used first and foremost to identify members of the same species and to compete for mates. Like so much of life, it all comes down to sex.
When it comes to a kill, predators fail 9 times out of 10. Out on the lowlands, Little Das gets a second chance to redeem himself. And he's not about to blow it. His target is Buck, the wounded Maiasaura. Everyone else is just in the way. When Blaze breaks past the herd, she runs straight into the A-team, waiting to hit Buck. Getting a clean shot at their prey won't be easy. Little Das has delivered an Dinosaur sandwich, and no one's willing to take the first bite. Buck makes a run for it, but Little Das stays focused. The Dinosaurus blockade has given Buck a small lead. The chase has taken its toll on the young Maiasaura. And now, his young nemesis, Little Das, has locked on his new position. Predator and prey resume their roles. In this drama, there is no good or bad. But now, a plot twist could turn this prehistoric pageant into a tragedy. The Great Mountain is possessed by a seething ocean of magma and dissolved gas. Titanic pressures begin to test the mountain walls from within. The creatures of the Elkhorn Range now live beneath a time bomb filled with melted rock. Buck suffers from dehydration and pain, but he's no quitter. His instinct to rejoin the herd keeps the young Maiasaura on his feet. Blaze has moved further and further away from her wounded playmate. The prey is more dead than alive. Killing Buck will take just a minimal effort. The Daspletosaurus have waited it out. And now, the time feels right to close in. The small Quetzalcoatlus reeks from toxic fumes. It's time to cut to the chase. 15,000 square miles of sky are consumed by a monstrous veil of ash. Created by the release of gas from molten rock, the cloud is alive with pin-sized fragments of volcanic glass. It's time to close the gap on Buck. The visibility is falling by the second. The pack must now rely on their ears. And so must Buck. The return calls mean only one thing. Buck must reach the herd or die. Little Das and his family navigate a fog of volcanic ash in search of their prey. Buck must find his herd or die. The blanket of ash has begun to lift. Half delirious from shock, Buck makes for the herd. Das and his family, weary from the long trek, suddenly face a major investment of predatory energy. Rivers of lava, pushed up from the magma chamber, now bleed from the side vents in the mountain. Explosions rip from the cone, sending a hail of marble-sized debris miles into the sky. Air-filled volcanic fragments are called cinders. And the creatures of the highlands are the first to feel their sting. A new pulse from the cinder cone launches a bombardment of boulder-sized lava fragments and a barrage of lava bombs. hunting prowess of the Troodon is humbled by the all-consuming wrath of an angry Earth. Weakened by the actions of magma and acidic gas, the entire east face of the mountain collapses in the biggest eruption in the Western Hemisphere. A great wave of superheated ash, rock, and gas roars across the uplands. A pyroclastic flow. Temperatures within its mass exceed 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Some 50 miles away, the lowland dinosaurs process the oncoming flow as a threat. Moving at close to the speed of sound, a wall of burning debris is about to erase the line between predator and prey. The ash plume from the Elkhorn disaster extends 300 miles from Montana to the inland sea of North America. "7 million years later, few signs of the massive eruption remain. The Maiasaura has evolved into a new species known as Edmontosaurus. Adults measure 40 feet, double the length of their ancestors. Evolution has made some alterations, but the restless nature of buck and blaze lives on in the herd's juveniles. Daspletosaurus has evolved into Tyrannosaurus rex, a killer that can rip away 500 pounds of flesh with a single bite. Of course, they have to catch something first. A drama as primal and sharp as the prehistoric sky continues on the lowlands of Montana. The players are new and a little wet behind the ears. And sometimes they stumble and make some pretty big mistakes. But I tell you, the plot is fantastic.
In a remote corner of northwestern Montana, scientists unearthed a baffling mystery: the charred bones of dinosaurs. Based on the undisturbed state of the bones, it was concluded that the animals died on the spot. But what killed them? The investigation that followed was a classic case of dinosaur detective work. The bones were found among more than 200 petrified trees, all buried under as much as 6 feet of cinder and ash. In turn, the trees lay within a field of ash covering 9,600 square miles, one of the largest fields of volcanic debris in the world. Sometime in the late Cretaceous, about 75 million years ago, the forest was destroyed by a powerful volcanic eruption. The trees were leveled by the sheer force of the blast, then buried under the fallout of ash, along with the dinosaurs. We witnessed the same kind of devastation in 1980 when Mount St. Helens erupted. Yet the Elkhorn eruption ranks as one of the most powerful ever recorded. By comparison, Mount St. Helens was a mere firecracker.